Welcome to the PaleyFest Fall TV Preview. I'm Kate Hahn, West Coast editor of TV Guide magazine, and I am delighted to be your host for this very special conversation celebrating Fox's highly anticipated new drama, Rescue I Surf. Today, I'm pleased to welcome members of the series cast and creative team. Joining us are John Wells, director and executive producer, Matt Kester, creator and executive producer, Robbie Magasiva, who stars as Harlan Sunny Jennings, Arielle Kebbel, who stars as Emily M. Wright, Adam Demos, who stars as Will Reddy, Kekoa Kekumano, who stars as Laka Hanohano, Alex Aiano, who stars as Kinaloa, and Zoe Cipres, who stars as Hina. Thank you all so much for talking to us about the show.
Thanks, Kate.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank you.
I'm going to start with John. John, we hear lifeguards, we hear sand, we hear beach, we think Baywatch. Tell us how this show is like that classic lifeguard show and how it's not.
Well, I don't think it's much like that classic lifeguard show. This is a show about first responders, these extraordinary athletes who respond in some of the most dangerous waters in the world to save people and their lives. And Matt can speak to the fact that we're very interested in showing the real Hawaii, what Hawaii is really like, the people, the world, the way in which people have to live there. So it's beautiful, and we have rescues with regular rescues, but we're also trying to give you a real sense of what Hawaii and life for the Hawaiians is on a day-to-day basis.
Well, Matt, tell us about that. A lot of these characters were inspired by real people, right?
Yeah, yes, indeed. I mean, just kind of growing up surfing on the North Shore, especially, but anywhere on Oahu, if you're kind of in the water, around the water, which most people are, you're familiar with the lifeguards, and you are always, growing up, you're kind of in awe of them. They're sitting in the tower. They make you feel good when you're about to, go out in the water or paddle out into scary conditions or whatever. But they're kind of these larger than life figures in a lot of ways when you're younger. And then as you grow up and you spend more time at the beach, you get to know them. And we've had such an incredible legacy of lifeguards and ocean safety in Hawaii, going back to kind of some of the most famous figures in as water people, Duke Kahanamoku and Eddie Aikau. And, it's just this incredible kind of lineage and legacy that when you join ocean safety, and Kekoa can speak to this as a lifeguard too, but everyone can speak to this, is they've spent so much time making the show in this first season around these incredible lifeguards that you come into this legacy of water people, and you're very aware of that when you do it. And so, the lifeguards, that's something that I just wanted to show, because it, working in ocean safety in Hawaii and living in Hawaii and being kind of a local person are so embedded with one another. They're like kind of working class heroes around here. And so it's a great way in to tell these heroic stories in a workplace drama and be in this incredible, beautiful setting, but also to really these are people who live in Hawaii and deal with all the stuff that living in Hawaii means. It's an expensive place to live. You don't make much money, but you love it and you spend a lot of time in the water.
Well, Kekoa, Matt mentioned you were actually working as a lifeguard, I believe, when you read for this part. How true to real lifeguarding is the show?
Yeah.
Yeah,
As true as it gets, baby. As true as it gets. No, it's good. It's good. Matt, obviously, he's really well versed in the water, and he's got a lot of friends in ocean safety. He himself passed the lifeguard trials. He's done it all, so he knows what he's talking about, and it portrays really well into the show. He does a great job.
Well, Arielle, you play a character who we don't always see as a lifeguard. She's a woman. She's a high-ranking lieutenant. Tell me about her and what you had to do to prepare to be believable in this tough world.
I thought I was prepared. I wasn't. That's the God honest truth. Still processing.
You warned everybody.
No, but I did. My whole life changed when I got there, and I truly mean I am still processing what I went through, what we all went through together, what the show has created for all of us. And I have never, I've played a firefighter, a detective, an officer. So I've played very athletic roles, and I knew going into it, I had to kind of train my body like an athlete. But really, there's nothing and no one that can prepare you for what it feels like to be in the elements until you're in the elements. And we trained with some of the best watermen and waterwomen in the world. We were so lucky. I mean, everyone on the North Shore was like, wait, you have Uncle Brian, you have Uncle Terry, you have, like, it was like, we have the best of the best all the way around. We had Don King, the amazing cameraman, DP for our water unit. So I was surrounded from day one by the best of the best. My stunt double, Katy Perry, was actually a lifeguard on the North Shore. So everywhere I looked, John and Matt made sure we were surrounded by people that we could learn from, we could ask questions from, we could say, hey, I don't feel safe, or I need more work on this. I feel great about this. How can I get better at this? So it was a constant conversation. One of my favorite things that I learned from the 2 weeks of training was we would debrief every day. And I just found that to be so powerful, because on a show like this, when you're active the entire time, you're in the water, you're in the wind, you're in the current, you're on different beaches every day. The sand is different, the reefs are different, the wind is different. The weather changes throughout the day, and you're constantly having to learn how to read these conditions as you're in a scene. And so I just felt like the debriefing was such a powerful way to stay connected, not just to my own learning, but also to my castmates' learning, to everyone on the crew. Like, everyone would debrief. And I just found that to be a really powerful tool that I was like, wow, that's something that I definitely want to carry with me and everything in the future as well.
Well, the rescues are very realistic. I mean, I've seen the first episode, and you guys are out there, you're in the water. It's not green screen, you're actually doing it. There's also a lot of personal stuff going on between these lifeguards. So, Adam, I'm wondering if you could tell me a little bit about Will and how he feels about Em and what's going on between two of them.
He loves her. About it, but love hurts, man. What are you gonna do? Yeah, that's it. It's the girl of his dreams, but life's complicated, and it's more complicated when you get engaged to someone else and then you work with the love of your life. So yeah, you're in for interesting times and conflict. So yeah, it adds a cool element to the show for sure.
Well, Robbie, you play their boss. So what's it like for Sonny to have to kind of manage this lifeguard team when he's got some interpersonal stuff happening between his guards?
Well, I think in terms of relationship between Sonny and Em, Sonny has brought Em into his family. Em is part of Sonny's family, so he has that trust in LT, Lieutenant. He also, in terms of Adam's character and Kekoa's character, he knows these guys are the best. So, he doesn't have to worry about them. The only two he probably has to worry about are the new addition, which with Alex and Zoe's character. But slowly he starts to see their potential as the show goes on. So in terms of, which also kind of helps me kind of sort my own personal demons that I'm trying to deal with LT, with Em's character. She knows something's going on, but will never actually say in those words. I mean, she just has to look at him and go, "Yeah, something's up with you, Sonny." So yeah, that's how Uncle Sonny deals with it.
Robbie, is that a Rescue High Surf shirt draped behind you as a backdrop?
It's not CGI, that's for sure.
Hello.
I love it. I love the commitment.
That's phenomenal.
Good. I did want to say, Robbie, Sonny also is dealing with a personal tragedy when we come into the show. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, it's the death of his nephew, which he considers as a son. He brought him up as a son, but he feels great responsibility in why he passed, and he has a lot of blame. Also, his sister blames him for his death. Zion's character looked up to Sunny, and he took him under his wing, which is a lot. It actually happens in the community. I think within the surf community, within the lifeguard community, I think that has saved a lot of people in. Well, it's a direction, and they can see themselves moving forward. And so he's having to deal with that grief and not doing it properly. There are certain ways he should have done it, but he's choosing not to do it that way. For him, it's just like, oh, this is how I'm going to deal with it. I'm going to suppress it and move on. But at the end of the day, it bites him in the ass. If that makes any sense at all.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you also mentioned Alex and Zoe's character. I'd love to hear from you two about they're the newbies on the team, they're the rookies, and they're super competitive with each other. So, Zoe, since your character was the very fastest swimmer to qualify, I will let you go first. Tell us about her, give us her backstory, and how she feels about Alex's character.
So she comes from the North Shore, born and raised. This is all she's ever wanted her entire life, but this is kind of the first time that she's ever really going for something and doing something for herself, because she's grown up being the caretaker for her mom, her little siblings, her little cousins. She's put everyone before herself, and this is like the first thing that she's doing for her. And with Kainalu, there's some healthy competition there. I think they push each other to do better. Also have a little, well, I don't know if that's a spoiler. They have a little crush on each other. And I think they push each other to do better. And I think it's good that they have each other, being the only rookies. So yeah.
Alex, do you want to add to that? Is that accurate description?
Yeah, it's a very accurate description. Not really much to add with regards to our relationship without spoiling much. But I think they iron sharpens iron, and when it comes to Kainalu and how he came into to being into ocean safety, he comes from a very well-off family that his dad is preparing to be the next mayor, and so with a lot of high expectations from his family, I think he kind of takes the road less traveled that his family would take by joining ocean safety instead of probably becoming a lawyer or a doctor or something that his parents, especially his dad, would kind of want for him. But that's not to say that he doesn't try his hardest, though he does lose. He gets second place, so he gets about as close as you could get. But again, I think it's awesome that Kainalu has Hina to kind of sharpen his skills and push him to be better, and I'm stoked that I got Zoe to push me to be better as well.
Yeah, that push pull between them is really fun to watch. John, you directed the first few episodes, and I wanted to talk about the conditions of shooting, because you're outside, you're in the water all the time. And when we spoke before, you said you never had to pause for like a humpback whale, to continue shooting. So can you tell that story and talk a little bit about how you set up these shoots?
Well, I want to say first that we have a wonderful stunt team, but this group of actors were in the water the entire time. And when you look and say, gee, I wonder how they did that. I don't know, Matt, it would be hard to guess the exact percentage, but I would say 85% of the time when you're in the water, it is with our cast. And it's very trying. It's difficult work. And they came through to the point where at the end, Brian, Kilana, and the water group said that they felt all of them could go right to a tower if they needed to. So it wasn't just the training in the water, it was also the medical training, the things that you were learning all the way along. And they were extraordinary troopers through it all. We warned them, but when you actually get there, and that kind of takes us to your question, the currents, the water, the way it's working in Hawaii is dangerous. There's a lot going on all the time. And so we're actually in the water with some wonderful people. So when you see a couple of people who are out in the water in a rescue scene, they're actually surrounding that. We have shark drones to look for the sharks because there are a lot of sharks around. We have had whale delays. Well, humpback whales were interested in what we were doing. We've had, all different kinds of weather delays and ocean delays. Sometimes we'll go out and suddenly have 10, 15-foot waves break in right where we're working. And so the camera crew that's in the water the whole time on the water unit, we have a full-time water unit that's with us, will involve safety swimmers, as many as 7, 8, 9 jet skis in the water, Marine support group, to make sure that everybody's safe. But these guys are in the water the whole time. And it's a real accomplishment. And I've told them all individually, but I'll tell you all as a group, really proud of you, because I got to sit on the jet ski or on the boat and tell you what to do in the water, but you were actually in it the whole time. So it's demanding. And I think it really shows when you watch the show. You feel as if you're there with these lifeguards. And when we think lifeguards, a lot of time, I was a lifeguard, but I was a lifeguard on a pool. I was on the side of a pool. I sat in a little thing, it's a nice little pool. This is not that. This is the roughest water you can imagine, and you hop into it, and they did it every single day. So it's an impressive accomplishment for everybody who's here.
Quickly from the cast, I'd just love to hear a few highlights of a moment where you thought, I cannot believe I'm doing this on this jet ski, or, Arielle, we can start with you.
Well, first of all, thanks, John. That was so nice. One thing that I noticed you said earlier, I was going to circle back to, was just when you kindly shared that none of it's CGI. I feel like that's so important to tell everyone, because even I had when, for the majority of the time we were working, we were in this beautiful little bubble, because promos haven't started coming out yet. And then once they did towards the end, it was like, oh my God, this is real. But one of the first things people came up to me, even on the North Shore, saying was like, was that wave real? Was that CGI? When I'm on the back of the sled in episode 1, the opening of the show. And I have a patient underneath me and they're bringing me in. And yes, that is all real. That was, as we talked about, that was the first week of shooting. I felt like that was my initiation. So I just really, really am proud of all of us that, to reiterate what John said, we did do this. None of it's CGI. That wave is not CGI. I will remember that forever.
I remember after you came in from that shot, Brian said, we started, and then I saw it coming in and I was like, well, that's going to be a little bigger than I thought it was. Yeah, a lot bigger than we thought it was. And that happens. That's the unpredictability.
Yeah. And I always know that, okay, pay extra attention when Uncle Brian and Don King go quiet, because it's they're in the zone. And that's my hold on to the oh shit handle moment. I'm like, oh, hold on to the oh shit handle. Here we go. They're quiet. I don't know what's happening. So that's going to be one of my biggest memories forever. And then just to highlight, I remember this really took me by surprise, because there's so many incredible moments that we have as a cast together, and we're just laughing and supporting each other and working hard together. But there was this one moment where there's a cave rescue coming up later in the season, and I didn't expect it to hit me this way, but the patient grabs onto my shoulders without saying too much. I think I could say that. And I have this flashback to when I was 3 and 4 years old. I would beg my dad to get in the pool, and I would hold my breath for 3 laps on his shoulders, holding him. And then he knew I was safe. I could swim up whenever I wanted, but he would keep swimming. And I was always trying to get to the 4th lap. But I was always so proud that I could show him that I could hold my breath for 3 laps underwater. And there was just something about feeling her hold on to my shoulders underwater that it hit me in my heart, that I was like, oh my God, who knew I was training for this my whole life? It just it hit me deep. So that I found there was a lot of moments with this show where the character or the situation, somehow it hit personal for me in a way that I wasn't expecting.
Well, what's also interesting is these rescues often involve the dynamics of the team. And I'm thinking of one, Robbie and Adam, when you guys are out on a jet ski. Arielle's also involved in this, but you have to make some tough choices. Can you talk about what your characters go through when they're making decisions in the split second, and what it's like for you to shoot those?
Great question, Adam. Great question, Adam.
Well, yeah.
You know what scene I'm talking about? It's the flash flood.
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. I think for Will, it's different because he's following orders, but he's also doesn't want to because he's watching someone he loves go off, and because she's such a brave badass, but then he's conflicted because she also he's superior to. It's like there's a whole lot of conflict that's going on within him too. So it's not just worrying about a colleague; it's worrying about the person you love and all that stuff. But then you're following orders from your boss, and so yeah, there's a bunch of stuff going on.
For me, I think my character is based on a few uncles. I feel Uncle Terry, Uncle Brian, and what's the other one?
Uncle Mal.
Mal. The three characters. So I think in terms of my character, in those situations, he knows exactly. I mean, these guys live in the water. They know exactly that. If you were in the water with these guys, you see how calm they are. Even that shot that Arielle was talking about when she was holding on. I guarantee you, I wasn't there, but I guarantee you, Uncle Brian and Uncle Don, they've been in worse situations than that. So they know exactly how to read a situation. These guys would see a situation like, it was an example when Matt and Uncle Brian, when you guys did that rescue, like Uncle Brian will just scan the beach and the area, and he would see something that's about to happen, and boom, it would happen. So I think in terms of my character, he's one of those. He's in tune with the water, he's in tune with nature, and he's lived it. This is his community. He was born in this community, so he knows it, and he lives in the water.
Well, there's also a great scene, Kekoa, where you don't really. Alex's character doesn't handle a rescue as well as he should, and Kekoa is not. You are not happy with that. Can you talk about that dynamic between those two guys, and also about your training for this? Did you even have to train Kekoa? You were already a lifeguard.
No.
No, he went surfing the whole time while we had to do the whole training.
I got a little special treatment during the training process, should we say? But sorry. So your question was it was a double question there.
There was a rescue where Alex's character did not handle it very well, and your character was, to say the least, pissed. So talk about the dynamic between these two guys. I mean, what happens when you can't trust someone in the tower?
Yeah, plain and simple, Kate. Alex got to shape it up. He's got to shape it up. No, but he knows. I think he knows the potential. The character Laka knows the potential that the character Kainalu has. And so it's difficult, though, because in the beginning of the season, you see us kind of riffraffing, and obviously I'm probably a little bit more of a seasoned guard at that point. And he's a rookie. So he's going to make mistakes, but I think my character plays a very kind of asshole-like person. And so he just doesn't really, take into consideration that he is new and he's still learning. So, but it's cool. You're going to see a really cool character development between me and Alex as we go throughout the season. And it's nice. It's really nice.
Your character's also extremely flirtatious. Is that part of the lifeguard life?
I hate to say it, but it is.
I can neither confirm nor deny.
It's all improv.
I don't like to keep and tell, but no, it's one of those things where certain occupations, like firefighters, pilots, they kind of hold a certain masculinity and type of bravado to them, where a lot of females tend to kind of get attracted to that, and yeah. They're only human at the end of the day.
So Alex, yeah, your character does make a big mistake.
Yeah.
Talk about how that changes him or not, and tell me about your training. How tough was that?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to making mistakes on the job, even as we were just talking about this first episode, talking to Kekoa, who I actually had known before the show, but really getting to talk to him and talk to him about the stuff, it seems like it's almost a rite of passage that every guard goes through, where they make a mistake. I think Kekoa's had to do with, where were you, Waimea, where you took the board out, board broke?
Chun's Reef.
Oh yeah. But I remember that that was something that that has to happen to everybody, and I think for me, when it comes to that, the biggest thing in Kainalu's mind at that moment is kind of making up for that mistake, and definitely humbling, and taught him that he is a bit cockier than his abilities can prove at that time, and I think it's a great chance for him to learn and get back on track to proving that he is the guard that he says he is. And so I think when it came to my training, I felt the same way. I've been lucky to not only grow up coming out to Hawaii a bunch, but also to film other projects there where I did spend some time in the water. And so, getting to work with Uncle Brian Kelana, again, there were a couple times where he was like, yeah, you got it, right? And I was like, I don't know. And so I felt like while Kainalu's constantly trying to prove himself as a lifeguard, I was trying to constantly prove myself as kind of one of the guys that Uncle Brian can say, yep, go and do the stunt. And I trust you, and working on that all season, still working on that.
Zoe, what about you? What was your training like? And do these guys in the tower just ever get on your character's nerves?
I feel like constantly. I feel like I might have played a little too annoyed sometimes, but my training was, I was the last person to get cast, so I had about a week less of training than everybody else. But I grew up in Hawaii, so I've been in the ocean my entire life. My mom is born and raised there. My dad's a surfer. So I feel like being in the water, it comes really naturally to me. And so I did feel comfortable, but I'm not much of a surfer. So that was a challenge. The paddling, pulling people onto the board, onto the jet ski, that was hard for me, but it was a really amazing experience and challenge for me, and I feel like I got a lot stronger, and I'm excited to see how it translates on screen. But season 2, I'm gonna be hopefully driving the jet ski. Well, and I got some merch myself. I just want to show off.
Whoa!
You're not the only one, Robbie.
Okay, I think I need one of those. I definitely need one of those.
You gotta get me one.
John has said he trusts all of you with his life now.
I do, actually. This was an incredible commitment to something that I've worked with a lot of actors. I've never seen a group make the commitment to really show this world and to feel responsible for showing this world and the people, which I think was very important to Matt and I, that you actually get a real sense of the culture in Hawaii. We described the show early on as, because when you pitch the show or you talk to people about the show, you go, oh, I've been to Hawaii, I love Hawaii. Well, what we always say is, yeah, okay, so when you drive from the airport to your resort, all those streets you go past, take a right or a left on one of those streets. Those are the people you're going to meet in this show. Because there is a Hawaii that I think people haven't really seen that we're trying to show.
Well, the setting is great. I mean, the locations are incredible. I saw things I've been to Hawaii. I saw things it didn't look familiar to me. I do want to talk about the uncles that everyone's talking about. And Matt, maybe you could speak to that. Can you tell us about these guys, these trainers that you had? And I love that everyone calls them the uncles.
Yeah, uncle and auntie is a pretty common, thing to call, your elders or people that you grow up around, even when they're not your biological uncle or auntie. It's just kind of a term of respect that you use for older people. And then when you first get called uncle, you're kind of like, oh man. a little rough, but it is a term.
Or when Kekoa calls you
It's a term of
Auntie.
respect. Yeah, it's a term of respect. But these particular folks, Brian Keolana, Terry Ohui, and Mel Poo, were actually the people who invented jet ski rescue, using rescue skis and using personal watercraft in the ocean to do rescues. Brian was surfing in the Eddie Aikau event at Waimea, and he saw another kind of lifeguard and waterman kind of come up to him who used to cruise around on a jet ski just by himself and get right into him in the really dangerous part of the wave of the lineup we call the impact zone, where the waves break. And he was able to scoot right in and look at him and be like, "Hey, are you okay?" And then scoot out. And Brian was like, "Oh, a light bulb went off." And he was a lifeguard at the time, as was Terry, who was a captain on the North Shore, and was Uncle Mel, who was a captain on the West Side. And those guys really pioneered this use of, hey, we can use these personal watercraft to save people, to rescue people in these intense situations. We can use them as like a force multiplier to make us more efficient and to get places where we wouldn't necessarily be able to go. And so they've become somewhat famous in the ocean safety world, and truly the world worldwide. They've gone all over the world and trained people on the use of personal watercraft in ocean rescue. And then do water safety for the Olympics and all kinds of contests. So we're incredibly lucky to have those people who really invented the use of personal watercraft and safety to be on our team and training. And the uncle, they are the true uncles. They gotta really keep everybody safe and ready to go. And you can look up to them, and you just kind of can absorb a ton of knowledge from them. And for me, I was always kind of looking at these guys in awe, and I think everybody does in Hawaii, and they're just incredible. And for them to be, they were so impressed by our cast in the same way that John and I are. I mean, they would come up to me and be like, "I can't believe this cast. They're incredible." I mean, you create these characters, and then you get to a point where you can't imagine anyone else bringing these characters to life than this cast. And then to throw them in such an incredible physical environment and have everybody just excel is like a dream come true. And it's just, they excel in the ocean. Their dramatic performances are incredible. And it just really seemed like, as watching it all unfold over the course of the season was just a treat.
Well, we can't wait to see more. We need to wrap up, but if the cast doesn't mind, I'd love to just go around and have you say, from your character's point of view, why should we watch this show? Why will we love this show? And it can just be quick. So Arielle, what would M tell us?
That she would want every young woman out there to watch this show and see a little bit of themselves in M.
Robbie?
It's a story about Hawaii, the first show that's actually about a part of the culture of Hawaii.
And Adam, what would Will say? Why would Will want us to watch this?
Because Locke has always got his shirt off, so you'll have a ball.
Well, that takes us right into what Locke to say.
Locke, let's see, you get to see Will Reddy's biceps every day,
Let's go, my man.
And that beautiful mane.
That is a beautiful mane, and we don't get to see it with the hat.
It's everything you would dream it would be.
Yeah.
I'm saving it for the premiere.
We don't want to. No spoilers. No spoilers.
No spoilers.
All right, Alex, what would your character say?
I just say this is the real deal. This is as real as it gets. It's as real as you're ever going to see it.
I do believe that this is the first time you're gonna see Hawaii and how what it really is, and without all the fluff and the bullshit, it's just real. And I'm really excited for people to see my home.
Well, it's from what I've seen, it's so great. And John, I'll give you the last word. I mean, why is this so different from anything you've done? You've done these great first responder shows, first responder work family shows. Why is this one so different and special?
Because of these people. We have a fantastic cast, great writers, terrific directors. Everybody is involved with it, completely committed to it, and you're going to feel that when you see it. You just haven't seen this show before. So show up, take a look, and watch these wonderful actors at work.
Well, thank you all so much. And thank you for joining us for this special PaleyFest Fall TV Previews conversation with Fox's Rescue High Surf. You can enjoy more of these programs by clicking the subscribe button below. Thank you so much. Watch the show. It's fantastic.
Yeah, watch the show.
Thank you.
So much.